I have said this before, and I will say it again because I haven't said it in a while. I think that the majority of the fandom is vastly misinterpreting Azriel's shadows. I don't think we need to be looking at when the shadows are around him, when they are coalescing around him. I think we need to look at when they're missing. And yes, they disappear around Elaine. That has happened like almost every single time that Azriel has been around Elaine on the page. Like there haven't really been any shadows around. And there are people in other non-Elriel ships that think that because the shadows aren't around Elaine, that he's like stifling himself around her and he can't be himself around her. But in reality, the shadows were born from a trauma response, and they are generally around when he's feeling awkward or uncomfortable or afraid or angry. The fact that Elaine is such a new person to him and the shadows just immediately know, like, we don't need to be here right now. He's good. He's safe. That's huge. Compare that to the bonus chapter with Gwyneth. I'm not saying that Gwyn is like inherently evil and like he needs the shadows to protect himself. But at the end of the day, like she is a relatively new person. And during the bonus chapter, when she sees him and they have their conversation, has his shadows like coalescing around him because he's angry about the stuff that happened with Elaine. It's not like Gwyneth just went and like chased all the fucking shadows away. Like that just didn't happen. Also, keep in mind, this is the first time, I believe, on page, chronologically, that Azriel has spent time with Gwyneth by herself. So, he knows her as, like, a part of the whole of the Valkyries, but not her as a person. So, I would hesitate to say that, like, the shadows are like, oh, no, like, she's familiar, she's good. This is not even considering the whole lightsinger aspect of things, which I actually do think that Gwyneth is a lightsaber, but a light singer. Holy shit. Given what we know, what little we know about fucking light singers, I may as well just call them lightsabers anyway. Like, the fuck. But generally, whenever we've heard about like some weird mythical thing that's like inherently evil and all of that, we end up finding out that that's not truly the case. Like, there's always like a good side to whatever this is. So I do think that Gwyneth is a light singer, but I also think that light singers aren't evil. I think that they have a reputation. I think that some of them definitely have been evil, like the most noteworthy ones. But if Gwyneth has light singer blood, it doesn't really mean that she's evil. No one's calling her evil because of that. But that is not the point I'm trying to make right now. This is about Azriel shadows. I'm so sorry. I keep going off track. Azriel shadows don't they hang around Gwyneth because like she's new from like a personable social perspective because he's never hung out with her by herself, but also there might be some kind of inherent dormant light singer magic that the shadows are aware of that Azriel isn't. So the shadows being around or not being around Gwyneth really doesn't have anything to do with anything. I think what we need to be comparing is how the shadows act around Gwyneth, around Elaine, to the control here, which is Morgan. Now, I do not think that Azriel is still in love with Morgan. If Azriel is still at book 6, trying to get with Elaine, still in love with fucking Morgan, I'm going to pitch the book out of my window. And I get ebooks, so I'm just gonna be throwing my phone out the window. Nothing would piss me off more, especially because it doesn't make any sense given what we know about Morgan and what we know about Azriel and what we know about Cassian. I keep getting off track. Like the amount of pages that we are going to be hit with in the next year or so is killing me. It's absolutely killing me that we're going to have so many pages and we have no idea how edited this story is going to be. Morgan, we're talking about Morgan. Azriel's shadows tend to disappear around Morgan as well, and they tend to disappear around the whole of the Night Court, but Morgan is the one that Farron notices because Rhysand mentioned, oh yeah, like Azriel has a thing for Morgan. This has been like a thing going on for like 500 years. He's been pining all this time. I do think that Rhysand is wrong about that, but that is another conversation for another day. I cannot get off track again. The shadows disappear around people that Azriel feels safe around. And even though Morgan has been sketch as fuck, according to us, the audience, and things like that, I do think that she is a person of safety for Azriel, whether he's in love with her or not. So it would stand to reason that people that he's in love with are people that he feels safe around. And those people will be kind of a shadow repellent. It's not necessarily that like they're like repelling the shadows, keeping them away, and he's stifling them or whatever. It's just the shadows are a trauma response, and he doesn't need to rely on that trauma response when he's around someone he feels safe around, which is Elaine. And again, I would argue that it is incredible that Azriel, who has like all these trust issues and has been through so much, like in the course of like what a year or so, maybe two, that Elaine has been such a steady, steadfast person in his life where his shadows don't need to be around her like that. So yeah, I think that we have been as a fandom as a whole vastly misinterpreting the shadows in general, because the shadows are a trauma response, and yes, trauma responses are part of who you are, but it matters when you don't need to rely on them to feel safe. And in the case of Elaine, he does not need his shadows to feel safe around her. This isn't to say that he feels unsafe around Gwyneth, but I feel like the shadows being around her, that's how he is around like new people. That's how he is around people that like aren't part of his inner circle. So it would stand to reason that Gwyn is not part of his inner circle of friends. Gwyneth's part of Nesta's circle of friends. Azriel is part of Nesta's circle of friends. That doesn't mean that Gwyneth and Azriel are in the like are as close as to each other as they are with Nesta. That's just not how friendships work. But it matters the people that you feel like you can be yourself around and like not necessarily need a shield, a literal shield in Azriel's case around. And the fact that Elaine has gotten to that place so quickly is a testament to how close that they might be going forward, meaning that they might be, endgame.